my name is Brant Singler, and welcome to the Encounter podcast. For our first story today, we have Rudy Flores here, our sports editor, and also the assistant
editor at the moment.
At the moment, okay. And so you wrote a story about the football preview for this coming season. And why don't you tell us a little bit about that? So my first question is, how is our offense going to look this year? We'll start with the offense.
The offense is going to look a lot different, right? Last year you had Sam Tumulty was your quarterback. He was the starting quarterback for the last 4 years for the Saints, right? Mm-hmm. So you lost him. You lost your top two receivers as well, right? So it's a big offensive change here. They're starting Nathan Mall, redshirt freshman, right, out of Manuka. It's just going to be a whole different look on the offense, especially the receiving core, right? Jake Friddle last year only had 5 catches. This year in the first game, because we are past the first game now, you won't see that in the story, right? Yeah. But again, for all the people watching the podcast, I applaud you. He already had 5 catches in the first game for 2 touchdowns, right? So you're going to see him involved more in the passing offense. You're going to see Ryan Little. Unfortunately, he had that injury 2 years ago, but he is still out there, right? He can still make catches. He has a lot of height. So you're going to see him as a top target for Nathan. Another name I want to mention, one of our communications people, Carl Bew, right? He's the Swiss Army knife of this team. You're going to see him everywhere on the field, right? You're going to see him at running back. You're going to see him at wide receiver. You're going to see him at quarterback. You're seeing him on the kickoff returns, right? That's a name to watch throughout the year, right? What is he going to do in multiple facets of the offense?
Yeah, because I know that Carl, he used to be a quarterback and filled in a little bit a couple seasons ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he did when Sam got hurt 2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, from my understanding, I didn't know anything about Maul, but I thought Carl was going to step into that role as a quarterback. But, I mean, if he's going to be a Swiss Army knife and be a leader on the field and in the locker room, that's what he's going to be.
We all thought he was going to step into the quarterback role, especially, 2 years ago. He started in place of Sam, and then he was announced as a captain for the team this year, right? So it was the thought of a lot of people, including a lot of people on the team as well, that he was going to be the starting quarterback. And he did get a chance to be under center a little bit in the first game as well, but after the first game, it was clear that Maul is most likely going to be the starting quarterback going forward. But it doesn't mean that Carl is not going to have a chance to get under center, and he is also going to be on that offense a lot.
Okay. Now, going from offense, let's talk about the defensive side of football. I know that we lost probably a good amount of defensive players.
We did not, actually. So it's a difference in there is that the defense didn't lose a lot of people. Mm-hmm. They lost Pat Strosha off the edge, big name right there, was always getting back to the quarterback, right? But honestly, our secondary, with the exception of we lost, I can't remember his name right now, he went to Western Illinois. Matthew Perry, that's his name, Matthew Perry. With the exception of him, we still have the same core defense, right? There's still Nick Mabudis. There's still Nick Franciscovich, right? Trey Sayers is still here. Carson Hansen is still here. CJ, Curtis Reeves, he's still here, right? Your big name defensive guys, they're all still here. They all have another year left, right? And you heard a lot of their names in the first game. It was unfortunate that, they let up 42 points in the half. A little uncharacteristic for that defense, right? But there were some of those guys who still made big plays, especially in the second half. They only allowed 3 points in the second half, kind of what we saw last year from the defense. Okay. And it overall looked a lot better. And, Trey, I know Trey had a pick, and I can't remember who had. Actually, there's a freshman. I think one of the Hackman brothers, there's 2 brothers. There's Mason, and I don't remember the other one's name, but it was one of them had a pick as well. So he's a filler on the offense for Matthew Perry. Another guy I didn't mention, too, Nathan Shute, is still on the defense as well in the cornerback position. He is looking to make a big leap after starting last year as well. So.
Okay. Just a follow-up question. Do you think that going off of last week's game and everything, do you think that the reason why they let up a lot of points in the first half is because they were missing Pat Strosha on the edge to add pressure to the quarterback in the pocket and everything? And they finally transitioned and flipped it around the second half?
Yeah, that part of it could have been that, right? They didn't even have a single QB hit, let alone a sack last week, right? And also, they were going against an offense that is run heavy, right? This Taylor University they played, they led the NAI in rushed last year. They had 311 yards on the ground per game. And you saw it again last week, right? So not a lot of chances to get to the quarterback, but they couldn't when it happened. Another part of it, too, was the offense turning the ball over. They turned the ball over 7 times, right? And some of those turnovers happened in their own territory. So you were already giving the defense, who was facing a very run-heavy offense, which is one thing they struggled with last year, plus the fact you're giving a top offense short field position. That was part of the reason why they let up 42 points in the first half. Not so much that they couldn't get to the quarterback, although they didn't, right? They did have 2 picks. They gave the offense some good field position sometimes, and they just couldn't execute, which is something going into next week and the next couple weeks, right? I feel that if they play that way, then the offense will execute.
Okay. Well, thank you, Rudy, for coming on to the show. And we'll be right back after this short break. I'm going to be here telling you guys about our brand new president, Dr. Ryan Hendrickson. Welcome back. Today we're introducing Dr. Ryan Hendrickson, the new president of the University of St. Francis. A former track and field athlete, Dr. Hendrickson started his role on June 1st in 2025, with big plans to grow the university's enrollment and community support. President Hendrickson is focused on improving committee efficiency and working with deans to create new programs and update the general education system. Quote, "By enhancing the university's profile, it helps enrollment, fundraising, and community relations." End quote. He praises USF's strong academics, but wants more people to discover the university. Quote, "We have an excellent university with great experiences. We need to get the word out." End quote. Dr. Hendrickson values USF's Catholic Franciscan mission, which influences his decision to join the university. Quote, "The mission is deeply embedded and makes us unique." End quote. With 26 years of higher education, including teaching political science and leadership roles, he emphasizes listening as a key leadership skill. Leading in the competitive era, Dr. Hendrickson is ready to tackle new challenges and engage with students on campus. As a former athlete, he encourages students to take full advantage of their opportunities. Quote, "Now is the time to excel. It's hard to do later in life." End quote. He also urges students to build friendships to help navigate college life. Under President Hendrickson's leadership, expect exciting changes at USF, including new programs and curriculum updates. The university's future looks bright. We'll be right back after a short break, as we'll be joining Morgan Jensen and her story on our local coffee spots around campus. Hello, my name is Brant Singler, and I'm here with Morgan Jensen. Hello,
Hi.
Morgan.
Hi, Brant.
So you did a story for the Encounter about the coffee places around campus and such, like Home Cut Donuts, for example. Home Cut, has had a good relationship with the university for some time now, handing out free donuts to teams and stuff like that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about their deals going on right now?
So I went to Home Cut Donuts to see if they have an iced coffee option for students. I know that they have the hot coffee options that's popular amongst probably other people in the area. But when I went, they have a cold brew option. And with that, you could get cream and sugar. And then they also have 4 flavoring options. And it was about $4.50. But Home Cut also does a deal for University of St. Francis students that you get 10% off any order. So you could go get a donut and a coffee, and it'll probably be like $6.
That's awesome. Pretty good deals. You also went to this place that originally was called South Out Grounds, but then they renamed to the Social Butterfly Coffee. What changed about them? Did their menu change, or was it just like their name or something?
So I first visited them right after they renamed themselves, and I spoke to one of the baristas there, and she said that nothing changed on the menu. It was just the change of the name. So okay. I had not really much to go off of from previous experiences, but I ordered something similar. I ordered a cold brew, and it was a little bit pricier than Home Cut would be. It was about $5.50, and then if you want to add flavorings, it's more an additional charge too.
Okay. All right. And distance-wise between these two places for campus, would you say that one is closer than the other? And out of the two, which one would you recommend for students?
So on a good day, they're both about 5 minutes away from campus in opposite directions. So to go to Social Butterfly Coffee, you have to go over the drawbridge though. So if you do get stuck in that traffic, I would probably plan at least 15 minutes to get there. I have not had good experiences with that bridge in the past. But cost-wise, home cut is a better deal. Closeness, home cut's a better deal. But if you're looking for a bigger variety, I would recommend the Social Butterfly Cafe.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for coming in. You heard it. If you are a student here at University of St. Francis, home cut donuts is probably the way you want to go money-wise. But thank you for your time. We're going to head it over to Braeden Smith and his interview, and we'll see you guys. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Braeden. I am the news editor for the USF Encounter, and I'm here with special guest Mireya Saucedo. So, you wrote a story for the news section, and as many people know, there's been a lot of construction on campus, and you want to tell us what that construction is about?
Yeah, so basically, it's going to be like a triangle building, kind of. It's connecting, from what I was told, it's connecting the auditorium and the cafeteria. So it's going to be like a triangle in between, and it's going to be 3 stories high, but there's only going to be 2 floors accessible to students. And then the first floor is going to be like a lounge, and then upstairs is going to be like a success center, I guess. That's, yeah.
Is any of that going to be like in the way of the quad at all, did they say?
No. So you see how it's like cut off right now with like the fence? So it's pretty much just going to be in between there. So it's not going to like cut into anything. It's just like an in-between closing off the space that there is.
Okay, because I know a lot of students like to go to the quad. It's a nice area for nature and kind of get a nice breath of fresh air outside. And there was a delay, if I'm not mistaken. What was that delay for?
So from what I was told before I spoke to Terry Cottrell, I was told that it was like this big tunnel, and that everyone thought that that was like the big issue, like the tunnel.
There was a big rumor for...
Yeah. So when I talked to him, he said there was a tunnel, but he said that it was like kind of like a dog-sized tunnel, like a dog could fit in.
So it wasn't some
It
giant
wasn't some big
Bigfoot
thing.
tunnel
That's
that
literally
everybody
what he
said it was?
Yeah, that's literally what he said. He's like, well, it's not like Bigfoot can fit in there. And I was like, okay. But yeah, so it's pretty small. He says there is a lot of tunnels either way, like underground here. A lot of schools have them, I guess. I don't really know. But so there was a tunnel, but that wasn't like the biggest issue. It was more of like moving the electrical stuff and like figuring out where the pillars are gonna go. More like small stuff like that, which he says is just a big issue when it comes to like adding stuff onto a different older building to begin with.
But that is still, is it like a minor issue kind of?
Kinda, yeah. Like he said there, it's not like really cutting into any of the funding, or it's not really like that big of an issue really. It's just like a small delay.
Okay. And do you know what the expected time of completion
so he said 2026, which I think is a little crazy. Like, right now there's like nothing outside. So when he was saying 2026, I was like, girl, that's next year. But yeah, he says we should be expecting like to see it actually form out by like the next few months. And he says 2026 for sure.
Because I know that's a big bummer for a lot of students, especially those graduating right now. Because I'm sure there's plenty of students who would like to have that experience and have something here, especially with it being a success center, to kind of help students when they graduate, and they're not going to be able to have that because of the delay.
Yeah, so that's what he was saying too, that when I told him like, oh, the big rumor is basically big, huge thing you found in the ground, like what's going on there? He was like, oh, well, do you think that rumor only started because people want it done like today, right now? And I was like, honestly, I don't know. But he was saying the same thing, like when he came here, because he is alumni, I don't know if you know, but when he came here, there was basically just tower, and they were building Donovan Hall, but it wasn't done, so no one could really go there. So he says the same thing, like obviously he wants these students to have that experience, but like you got to do what you got to do. Like, but he does say that basically the funding, it's like a grant, and it's like I think the end date is 2028, so they do have like a lot of time either way.
There is still like a time limit, even if it isn't 2026, which hopefully it is done earlier than later, but there is still that time frame of 2028 is like their max.
Yeah, which I did ask him, like, oh, like, did the minor, like, inconveniences that did delay everything, like, did that take any money away from the grant? Like, is that, like, a funding issue or anything? And he said, no, like, everything is fine. The grant is state funded, I believe he says. I might be wrong on that, so I don't know. But, yeah, so he says that, like, the grant is, like, I think the end date is either 2028 or 2029, but, like, we still have a good amount of time. It's just he personally thinks 2026 and it should be good.
Well, hopefully 2026 is correct, and I appreciate you coming on and talking about your story.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to send it down to Julie, interviewing Will Snydersmith.
Hi, I'm Julie, and I'm here with Will Snydersmith. Will is a student here at USF, and he is in the DARA program. So, Will, after hearing the news that the DARA program would be sunsetting, what was your first reaction?
When I first heard about the DARA program being suspended and sunsetting, I heard about it from an email from the dean, and it was sent to like all the students a part of the program, including the incoming freshmen, or I guess the freshmen, current freshmen, and I actually the night before I did the tarot reading because I was in Michigan. So I was my coworker. She was doing this tarot reading for me. We were doing this like team bonding activity with the whole patron services team that I was a part of, and one of the cards said that she told me that like during the reading that you'll receive news tomorrow and you'll have to like stay calm about it. And I was like, when I heard the news about the DARA program being suspended, I was like, that's definitely what the tarot was relating to and referring to during the reading.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy. Wild coincidence.
Yeah.
So I know that Mars mentioned in their story that marketing was a pretty decent issue regarding the DARA program. Do you think that sort of added to the fact that DARA would be sunsetting?
I think I agree with that, but in the case of, because we were told that one of the main reasons why the DARA program was being suspended, it was because of low enrollment rates, and I feel like that was because of the lack of marketing through the USF's marketing department.
Definitely.
And DARA had to, DARA sort of did their own marketing for the program, and we kind of received like little help from the marketing team. We always had to reach out to them, and they were always helpful when we reached out to them, but I feel like there could have been more of a balance between each other's marketing teams. I was big on the short form content creation for the program. I started out as a freshman volunteering for it, and then I eventually started getting paid for it. So it's been a great experience, but I just feel like it could have been better. There could have been better contribution from both sides.
Absolutely, yeah. So if you were a freshman coming in, knowing you're going to experience this DARA program, how would you feel now that you've heard the news that it's being suspended?
I would not like. I would be. Let's be real. I would be annoyed and angry because coming in, like as an incoming freshman, if I was an incoming freshman, I'd be coming in excited for the 4 years of the program, and then learning how it's suspended, it just throws a little bit of like bitterness to that feeling.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
how did your fellow DARA friends react to this news?
probably they had similar reactions from what I saw. Like definitely similar reactions to how I felt. especially at the initial meeting where I was attending via Zoom, because I wasn't here directly on campus, because I was out of state for that first week. And everyone voiced their opinions. I'm 90% confident that at least everyone spoke in that room during the announcement of the informational meeting about the program being suspended.
Yeah.
And it was,
Yeah. I can imagine that that's like heartbreaking. You've been a senior here and you've went through that whole process, and now it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Will, for joining us on this episode of the Encounter podcast. Be sure to tune in to our next episode in October. Bye.